Welcome to Of Stardust and Earth. Be humble. You're made of earth. Be noble. You're made of the stars. I'm Jen Brown, and this is a safe space for intimate, raw conversations about sexuality, creativity, self-expression, spirituality, really everything that lights my soul on fire. So I invite you to journey with me and the beautiful friends I meet around the globe, diving into provocative explorations about love, life, and being your most radiant self. Welcome, Soma! Do the hair. Okay, I still need to learn how to do that from you. I can do that. But the one that sounds like a bird, oh, it's so beautiful. I love it so much. It's not working.
I'll teach you.
You gotta teach me.
That's my job.
Welcome, Soma. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Same.
So
Thank
we
you for
are
having me.
Yeah. We are out in Laguna. In the trees, in the mountains. And when we were talking about where should we record, this just felt like the most you, the most us, like being able to be connected to nature and to be surrounded by these big trees and just feeling the energy. It feels so good.
Yeah, my favorite spot to be. Nature, trees.
100%. So before we get into like how we met and everything that I just admire and adore about you, maybe just tell me a little bit about Raha, what you do, what your philosophy is, because you create these incredible experiences that from my perspective, each one's really unique and they're continuing always to evolve and they're based on your own past and personal experience. So what would you say that Raha is? What does that mean?
Well, the word Raha in Farsi means the state of deliverance, where we're not attached to anything and we're fully present and free of any recognition with your mind, that pure presence that we speak about. And what I have been using in Raha is the elements that brought me into that pure presence and the liberation and freedom of just being me. I mean, the journey was just my life unfolding for me, that I was suffering a lot from emotional imbalances and mental discomfort. I was very lucky to come across with these modalities, which are the main elements of Raha: movement, sound, our own voice, rhythm, music, harmony, group synchronization, and energetic emotional expressions that has nothing to do with our linguistic language, like words, the sounds. And I love dancing, I love moving, I love singing. I love getting with groups and do the same thing. I love it when in parties all the groups are all engaging in one point and not people just few over there talking, few over here talking. It's really funny because when I moved from Iran to Chicago and I went to the first party, a lot of people were just talking and drinking and talking. And in Iran, when we say we party, we get down, do the same thing, kind of we do at Raha. We play music, we sing together, we hold hands, we go circles, we just go crazy. And when I came here, I just went to the first party. They talked, I was waiting, it's gonna happen. And eventually people start just saying bye, like, thanks for having me for your birthday. And I was like, wait, is the party over.
We didn't even start yet.
You haven't even started. And then they're like, this was the party. I was like, oh, you guys just talk.
You just hang out and talk.
Talk the whole party, because we do that all the times anyways.
Yeah.
So to me, party was this container that we all get down and move and sing and be creative musically with drums, whatever instruments we have, we bring it together and create a melody that has harmony and it has a rhythm. So also staying away from it for a bit is what caused me to have those some of my mental discomfort. I was away from that. And eventually by going to a drum circle and shaking my body and all of a sudden having these cathartic releases that I let my voice out, I start noticing the effect that actually had on my nervous system. And I start opening up and my system start calming down, which I understood that a lot of those waves of anxiety and those pulses was my body was signaling me to say, just release and express and be you, and enough of this preserving yourself and not being creative. And that was the beginning of the path of creating Raha. So I wanted to create a container that has all these elements, and it would be also a container to be creative, be together, be cathartic and release. If we have any unprocessed emotions that is numbing us, is literally can numb your receptors to receive life. So to shake it off and let it go and be more of a clear vessel.
I mean, the very first time that I met you, I came to one of these experiences and I had no idea what to expect, but a mutual friend like spoke so highly and was like, you have to come. It's so magical. And so I came with like no preconceived notions of what we were going to be doing and just fully like open-hearted, like here I am. I love to dance. I'm down. And I remember you told a similar story about how you had come over here and then realized like there just isn't this culture and this outlet for really expressing and coming together in celebration and feeling like your grief and your emotions and the joy and everything. And what really struck me about it was that in addition to the wildness, you have like this scientific approach to it as well. And like when you talk about codes, that it feels like you've actually just discovered and downloaded, and it's very similar to like Sufism and some of these other things, but that help us to unlock those places in us. And during that first experience, like you had us in community, in circle, doing the same motions, like you're talking about, creating patterns and geometry with our voices, with our bodies, before we ever got into like the wild individualistic dance. And that was definitely something that I've never really experienced here in the US before. So what do you feel like, because you just said that about how there's so much power too when we all come together and we're doing the same thing. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that and like these codes of being able to do that together?
For sure, yes. So before I say my personal experience, also in the book of Stealing Fire by Jamie Wheel and Stephen Kotler, they do speak about how human synchronization, when we synchronize in our movement or expression, actually our intelligence multiplies.
Wow.
And I read this in a book, and then I sat for 5 days in my own patio with no computer, no words, no digital, no person. I just wanted to experience me and going from sunrise to sunset, and there's a little nature in front of my patio. And I started watching nature, and I got the confirmation that this is the code that we speak about, because before the sunset, all the little birds came together and they were flying at this geometry form, sounding at the same time. So first I was like, oh, movement and sound combine. And that's what some of the ancient mysticism they speak about. And then they would go up together and they would come back down together.
Wow.
And then everybody goes to their home, do their own thing. But then every day, the next day, they will come together by the sunset and engage in this synchronized group movement and sound going up and down. Then I realized this is the software of this planet that we are also meant to do, to stay harmonized, to exchange information. And I mean, we also kind of feel it when we're together and sing a song together. There's just so much pleasure. It's hard to not notice it. And that just says that it is a communication with our nervous system. And also group moving in the geometry. So, talking about the patterns, mathematical layers of expression that we can combine. If someone says, I want to expand my awareness. So how do we expand our awareness? Do we go just read books about it? Or do we watch it somewhere? Or do we actually do things with our vessel, or I call it our instrument, to open these ways of communication to expand our awareness? When you keep track of, let's say, a pattern with your leg, a pattern with your hip, a pattern with your hands, a pattern with your head, there's multiple layers you are keeping track of and you're expressing. That is the way to activate all parts of your brain and expand your awareness. Then that will give you a capability to go to a restaurant and listen to 5 conversations. Be like, oh, I can actually maintain a 5 conversation and know kind of each one they're talking about what. But before doing that, we can't, because we haven't had that practice. Unless you're a musician or athlete, some people naturally they're there because they've done things that requires them to keep track of multiple layers of expression. So that's also one code. And when you move in the circle together, when we stop doing the layers is when we're thinking. And how to recognize that we're thinking is when you don't do the movement. Like, let's say we're all moving left, and the community will reflect that to you when we're moving in a group. Oh, you're actually not going the same direction. So you were out of it for a second. Then we all realize, oh, we can all come out of it for a second and go back. So that's also a group work. Is like a community effort to keep us all in that one point of engagement that I speak about. That there's also a lot of magic in that when we're all, whether it's 20, 30, 50, 100 people all engaging in one point. There's so much magic in that.
It's almost like you're defining a frequency, and then everybody is tuning into that frequency too, and it just amplifies it. And like you were saying, then if you get slightly out of tune or whatever, there is like this basis to be able to come back to. Yeah, so that makes so much sense.
The frequency would be the pure presence.
Yeah. I know. I love being out here and hearing all the nature. It's so good. Which is exactly like that first experience that I had with you was inside, but the last couple have all been in nature, barefoot, in the dirt, with the trees, with fire, with water, with all these different elements. And it seems that that's kind of a direction that you are really wanting to take it in as well. Why do you feel like that is such an important piece then too?
In my personal journey, nature and my healing had a big impact. Everything that I did, that's even I singing inside my own place and then going singing in Mount Shasta in mountains, I saw the difference in equality. I saw the difference in my nervous system. We're just designed to put our feet on the soil, not just on our shoes all the time, the plastic. First, the plastic is not allowing the life force to move through from your feet channel, which is one of our strongest channels. And then all the sensation that you feel, the temperature, texture, the things you feel on the bottom of your feet, it brings you to presence, and it also has all the reflexology to our organs. So when you're wearing shoes all the time, it's just one simple flat feeling, which help us to go daydreaming or thinking and get lost in our head and not be present in our body. So that's one reason to be more in tune with the elements, the wisdom of the element, and just nature in general. It always has helped me to go back to center, be peaceful, be calm. And if I don't go to nature a few days and I'm working, and I feel like, oh, I'm getting a little edgy, I'm getting a little, short temper, I knew exactly it's time for me to go nature and tune in and just sync myself back with my true nature.
And I think that that's a lot of what you do then, is help other people who maybe don't have those same tools and practices to be able to sync with nature and also with their own systems, and then with each other, and be held in community that way, which like it creates almost this trance.
Totally.
Right?
Yes.
And that's part of it too.
That's part of it too. We can experience altered state through plants or something that you take into your body, but we also can experience altered state through movement, a specific sequence, repetition, combining the sound and movement, and the group engagement is another way to be able to enter trance or enter to a new perspective that we can look at ourselves from a different angle to see where our blind points are, have a breakthrough, is through the movement and sound.
What kind of insights have you had about yourself or your own life through these types of experiences?
I had a lot of insight through shaking. As you know, a big part of Raha
tell me more about shaking too, because I know that is something that's really integral to it. And also, like you were talking about observing nature and animals.
Exactly.
It's such a part of
that.
that.
All seen dogs.
Yeah.
Right? Dogs, they shake, and cats, they shake, especially if I always have this when I squeeze a cat and I put him down.
You do like a little cuteness aggression and squeeze him too much.
Even dogs, sometimes when I do that with my own dog, it would be like, oh, I put him down and he would just shake instantly.
Yeah.
And, we go in life sometimes with not paying attention what are these little things are.
Yeah.
And then I notice cats shake, dogs shake, birds, they shake multiple times a day. And sometimes they bring their voice into it. The deer, I watched the Planet history of these channels that there's a deer is running away from a lion, and after they get done with their fight or flight situation, they all shake, and that is actually our nervous system. So one of the things I did in drum circle was when I shook my body really hard, I realized the shift in my nervous system. And we have two modes. We have sympathetic, which is fight or flight, and we have parasympathetic, which is relax mode. And based on the situation we're going through, if it's emotional, uncomfortable, whatever, we go into fight or flight. And then with a little shake, we go back to relax. And I'm sure you've noticed, if you're getting really angry, sometimes your body starts shaking on its own. Because it's trying to regulate, actually. And it is the nervous system. So shaking is directly connected to our nervous system. So shaking taught me about my nervous system, but it also taught me about my poor postures, where energy wasn't flowing. Also shaking. All of our muscles holds memory of our behavioral pattern, who we are, who we think we are, what's right or what's wrong. It's all kept in our muscles. And to get a glimpse of what it is outside of our belief system, we shake our body. You shake your muscles. And it helps. Shaking is a big, big portion of just our existence. And I feel because of social proper performances, we have forgotten these primal languages that we can help our own emotional state. So, sounding and shaking is a very, very important factor, and it helped me to understand that I actually have blocks in my body through shaking, I start developing sensitivity of the movement of energy and being able to shake and focus on certain parts.
It's interesting because I feel like all of these tools are things that, like, if you were new to it or like more self-conscious to, you can use on your own by yourself. But there's something so healing about actually being in community and doing that, just for the reason you just said, where it's like you know, even when you grow up and you're sitting in a classroom as a little kid, like, sit still, don't fidget, you know, pay attention, don't use your voice, like all of these things. And we're trained. And then it's completely rewiring your whole brain and system to be able to be in community and not just allowed, but encouraged to express through your body in the ways that your body wants to be able to heal. And then also to see that that's like acceptable and not shamed when you're in a community of people. And I think that that's one thing that's been really groundbreaking for me in the experiences with you, especially like the one we did at Journey Space, that was really intimate, where you had us like very much vocalizing, and then people like call and response with us. It was like so edgy to do, but also really healing, because it was like, well, I can be held in this container and not judged.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Judging is one thing about us sounding, but also music, the language of music, that everyone is like, oh, do you know the theory? Do you know this? Are you a singer? Are you not a singer? Are you born as a singer? We're all born singers.
I love that.
Is there a bird that says, I can't sing? It's just a story.
It's just a
that
story.
we believed.
Same
that
with
was
dancing.
For me. So,
yeah.
Exactly. I wasn't singing because I thought I'm not a singer for a big portion of my life. And
I have a huge block about that. Yeah.
Totally. And when I started releasing and using my voice, just a lot shifted in my own personal life. And yeah, it's very important to actually sound. And majority of us, we have blocks.
Yeah.
Whether we're worried to be judged. And another thing, when I start singing, I said, okay, I may need 5 years to be able to sing in front of others, or I need to like do it enough until I have something really cool and pretty, because that's what I was fed again. And one time I was like, actually, I enjoy watching a baby getting up and taking steps and reaching something. And I've been through the whole process with that baby, or anybody else. So why my friend cannot watch me in the process of me unfolding and opening into my own expression, into my own voice? And yeah, why
I love
not?
that. I love that analogy, because it's so true. And when we see a baby, we're like, it's precious.
Yeah,
it's like so special to get to be a witness to them exploring and growing and taking those steps. And then as adults, we're so judgmental of ourselves if we're not at this high level. It's like, oh, that's going to be embarrassing or something.
Yeah, they're going to judge me.
I don't sound good.
And if they do judge us, is it important for me to be judged, or is it important for me to use my voice and actually activate all parts of me?
Have you noticed that as a result of doing these practices, then that it translates to other parts of your life? Like, is it easier for you to take risks now that you have been able to like sing in community, for example, in using your voice just to speak your truth with somebody or to stand up for yourself?
Absolutely. Like the small group Raha that you participated.
Yeah.
Remember what we say, just don't think. Whatever comes, express. So I did find myself in a lot of situations that I wanted to say something. I wanted to express my truth, but for many reasons, same reasons, either being judged, or maybe it's not good enough, or maybe it's not the time. I didn't express what I wanted to express. But since 2011 that I started my journey of opening up to myself and my truth, I've been working in authenticity, actually. And these practices, first, it brought me to my authentic self. I say what is inside and outside is one. There's no different. That's been my practice. Also, I have a lot more confidence. I'm not worried being judged. I'm not worried to be perfect. What is perfect? Everything is perfect and is not. And yeah, definitely. And my health has been, thankfully, I'm so grateful. I haven't had any health issue, whether physically or emotionally. It's always first emotionally, and then it hits our energetic body, and then it will, if we don't take care of it energetically, then it will affect our physical to let us know, hey, this is what's going on. So yeah, I can't even imagine where my life would have been without these practices and elements that it came to my life and helped me to process my emotion, to process my grief, and go to grief without resisting it. Just surrender to all parts of life, light and happiness and daytime, but also nighttime and dark time and sadness. And I feel when I express my sadness and anger, I'm actually way more compassionate. Yeah. Because everything has opposition. There's day, night, sweet, bitter, birth, death. And through the both, we get the full spectrum of life. Yeah. And anger is the other side of compassion. And the reason we don't have a lot of compassion for each other these days compared to before is we don't process our anger, or we don't process our grief. If we do process our grief, we will definitely be in more place of compassion for each other. Our hearts is more open.
I think the way that it's been relating for me recently too is like you have resentment sometimes against people because you haven't processed that stuff, because you're not allowing yourself to feel it. So you can't have compassion because you're like, why are they allowed to have these feelings? Why are they allowed to, you know, not work so hard or get attention for this or whatever it is? And so instead of there being, this compassion piece, it's because it's like so repressed in you, and it's like a deep desire. You're like, but I want to be able to feel those feelings too and express and be held in it. Yeah. What happened in 2011 that
oh my God,
instigated this journey for you?
Oh, there was actually multiple aspects that got me into opening up to my new version of me. Yeah. A lot of them were physical problem. The last one, which was the major opening, I got the L5 herniated disc. And then I got a sciatica on my left side. And the back problem, the back pain, it was the beginning journey of me also looking for remedies and finding ways to find comfort with my pain. And there was many things. I got introduced to cannabis, and I started making cannabis extract. And that was the first plant that helped me to actually put these things together. I started moving more in my hips because of the pain. I didn't want to take just numbing painkillers because I was told that this is with me for the rest of my life. Okay. And I knew deep down there is a way. Because again, with the opposite poles, I knew there's disease, there's solution, there's remedy. Everything has remedy. And I was searching for it. And with naturopathic doctors, I got prescribed for cannabis, and it was not, you know, it was 2011. So I got prescribed, and I started using it for the first time. And it was hard first to understand the language because it enhances the pain. But when it enhanced my pain, it got me move my hips. It got me move my spine and go deep into my pain. And I could literally feel emotional things and bubbling and coming up, and I released and I expressed, and I noticed the pain was, after 2 months of working with it, I was able to move my vertebrae and stretch my spine, and my pain went away. Wow. So that was the beginning, but it taught me that I had a lot of suppression here. I had a lot of energy here. I'm just generally a really intense person, as you see. I'm very expressive, but I was holding all of that. Like I was holding chain all around me to express myself. Yep. And then this journey of my back problem was the last just physical discomfort that I got, that it helped me to make sense that first I have a lot of shame and suppression here. and a lot of energy, and this is my doorway, needs to come up and move. And that was the beginning journey.
That's incredible.
Yeah, which I still feel like in Raha, have you seen another element other than shaking is a lot of figure eight and hip movements. A
lot of hip movements.
And if you have noticed, a lot of guys have a lot of problems doing
Oh my God.
that. And they're like, I'm not a woman to move my hips. But we all store all of our emotions, most of our emotions here.
Yeah.
And because, when you don't like something, you're like,
yeah.
And then you keep this tight muscle memory. And then it won't allow the energy to move up. So even just dancing your hips is so important. And just moving my hips was so important into journey of me overcoming my pain, but also understanding a lot about my energetic self and how important it is that some of my movement is my medicine. Yeah.
And motion is the lotion. I keep hearing this too from people who are like doctors of like helping to heal your body, is that like this idea of resting or icing or freezing is actually wrong. Like that pain wants to be felt, it needs to be felt. And so when we just suppress it and avoid it or take pain medications or whatever, it doesn't go away. Like you said, it gets stored and it's still going to have to be felt in order to be released, even if that's at some future point, years down the road. So
cannabis helped me for that because a lot of the Advil and other painkiller got me constipated also. I couldn't move and it was numbing me that I would do things, but when I wasn't on it, I was in more pain. Yeah. But then how cannabis worked, it enhanced my pain, which I was researching. I was like, what kind of help do you do? And then I see, my level pain goes from level 4 to 10 when I take it. So I didn't know how it works, but I struggled because I watched with you and the doctors are like, this is your last natural choice if you want natural remedy for your pain and back problem. Yeah. But I worked with it and I realized the reason that it enhances my pain, it makes me get up and do something about it. And I'm moving and grabbing the guards and stretching. And I will find myself in these really funny positions. And for a second, I will come back to just myself. It's like, why am I like this? But then I feel the energy moving in my body. I was like, okay, I'm working on myself. Yeah. And this was a few months of just me wrestling with this medicine and my body until eventually the nerve pain went away. And I was like, this is how it works.
It seems like it gets you out of your head long enough to allow your body's wisdom to be able to move in the ways that it knows it needs to in order to heal, which is exactly then the kind of ceremonies that you're creating, where once you can get out of that thinking brain, then the wisdom of your body has space to be able to actually come through and heal.
We all can heal. Yeah. We all have the capacity to heal ourselves and others. I always say, because now sometimes I work with people that they're like, do you have a license? Where did you get this talent from? I said, I extracted from my somatic wisdom. I always say, does any of these trees, they go to school to learn how to fruit? Or any of the dogs, they go to school to learn how to swim? They don't. They all just swim. We also are born with the capability of swimming. And it's only our mind that thinks we can't swim. I never got one single swimming lessons and I swim like a fish. I'm sure there's a lot of people like that too. I'm not the only one. But
such a good reminder.
Our mind is. But what also cannabis taught me, which I don't need it anymore, it just introduced this to me with being a mood regulator, it helped me to go to pain rather than resist it.
Helped you to go to pain.
And it told me you're just sitting in a corner crying as a victim. So what? Why don't you just do something about it?
Wow.
It was really profound. And I learned that, if I can't be the victim and I'm just resisting, why this happened to me? Why this shouldn't happen to me? I'm so young.
Yeah.
The moment that my mood shifted and I said, no matter what it is, I have the remedy and I'm going to take my steps and I'm going to do what it takes to do this. I was on disability.
Wow.
And I was told that there's a chance that I would not be able to play my music, play my drum or dance.
Wow.
The way I want to for the rest of my life.
Well, you were super motivated because you were like, excuse me?
I'm
Don't
only
tell me
30.
that.
Like, what are you talking
Yeah.
So I did it. All it takes is us for mood to shift rather than resisting the pain and saying why this happened. This shouldn't have happened. When you put all those aside and you bring this warrior aspect of you that no matter what happened, it made sense that every disease has a remedy.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to find the way. And
Yeah.
I did. And I'm so grateful so far that I've been able to manage my body. I'm not in pain anymore. And I'm dancing as freely as I want. I'm playing instruments and singing, doing acrobatic stuff. So yes, that was the beginning of the journey.
That's so cool. And it's such incredible wisdom to realize that, like, rather than resisting the pain, that's actually what is creating the suffering.
Exactly.
But when you allow yourself to feel it, because there's so much fear, like we like steel ourselves against it. We're like, no, we can't feel this. But when you allow yourself to feel it, which is what it wants, then it can actually like dissolve.
Yeah.
And transform and become pleasure.
Exactly. Pleasure.
Speaking about pleasure.
I'm all about the science of pleasure right now.
I know. And I really want to dive into this with you because I was so sad to miss another small group you did recently with a bunch of our friends where it was your Raha experience, but taken to a new level, I think, with the senses and some tantric philosophies. So yes, please tell me about how you're incorporating this.
Yes, more into the science of pleasure. The more I understand about my body or our body, we all have the same instruments. They have these strong features, our senses, right? We call 5, but I say 7.
Okay, what are the extra 2?
The extra 2 is proprioception and vestibular, which is the pleasure of moving, which is the most ignored. The fact that we can move, it is hypnotizing if you really dive into the pleasure of moving. Just being one with that pleasure that you can move, because when we die, we lose movement. The pleasure of breathing, anything somatic is actually takes us to where we want to be.
Yeah.
Our body is designed to give us pleasure and also through pleasure access information. We all nowadays, everybody talks about somatic wisdom. You have somatic wisdom. You have some in your body. So how do we extract it? This is my question. I read about somatic wisdom and I really was like, any tree has information to fruit, to bloom, to do its thing. So how do I access this?
Right.
Which the first I would say it was my intention and intentional prayer. We think prayer is superstition. Prayer is just focusing your mind on what you want. Just spending that minute and saying, body, what are you holding that I don't know? Show me your wisdom. And I start noticing, after questioning the universe will answer it to you. I promise that, because that's been my experience. And when I ask the universe, how do I access my somatic wisdom? It just starts coming in and everything started making sense. I notice when I have certain super meditative, gentle caresses, whether I give it to myself or somebody gives it to myself, I'm actually more energetic and I can go to cries and laughs and stay on these orgasmic waves for a long time.
Yeah.
And in those states that I'm laughing or crying in the pleasure of bliss, all of a sudden I had epiphany, like, I haven't forgiven my dad fully. And this part of my heart is still blocked.
Wow.
Right in those peak pleasure, not talking about peak climax like the orgasm we have, peak of meditative pleasure of just being touched like a gentle caress. And then I realized how important our mouth is to food, because this is how I process. It's like, okay, we have two doors for our bodies. There's this door that we communicate differently and make life through it. Yeah. But then there's this door that life goes in. Yes. Food. Yes. And it's some sort of a lovemaking to everything. The sun, the soil, the fruits, and the food, and everything exists. And if you're surrounded in an island, they tell you you can choose only one door. What door can you choose? This one. Because we die. Without food, we die. But without sex, we don't die. Yeah. Then I realized, I have to have sex with my food. I love this. I have to make love to my food. Yeah. And the more I read at Osho's Book of Secret had a huge impact in my life. He has 112 methods to how to be in your somatic or be one with the intelligence flow that gives you information. And the more I sat and meditated with my food and went into the pleasure of, I can eat, I can taste, and my tongue and my brain, whoa. Then I had information. I would get the best idea what to do for my next Raha. I would have a full-on vision. Wow. Smell. Yes. Sense of smell. Yes. I had a full-on, energetic activation or out-of-body experience just with the sense of smell. And that's something that I feel like we're in the survival mode with our senses. Oh, we're not really sitting like, let's smell this. No. Just because we have this magical sense of smell. Even in the street now, I made a promise that I'm going to smell every single flower. I still looked at funny when people see me just rubbing a flower into my face and smelling it. And then I realized why I created that experience. The last one, which we played with food. If you watch children, they rub hummus on themselves. They don't just eat to be done. They're playing with the food. So bringing playfulness to food, bringing playfulness to our senses, it's also a code, as you said. It's a code to access somatic wisdom. And we have a lot of anxiety to be close to each other. Like, another thing I would say to mention that first before this part is we've been calling this Mr. One or Mrs. One, who is your lover, and then you only get to pet that person. Then you only get to hold that person long or put your head on their shoulder. Any other person, if you get a little close, they think, do you want to go to your bedroom? Totally. No, I just want to hold you and I just want to caress you. I have no other agenda, but this is the action of love. And it is so healing. It actually helps us with our hormone level. When we're touched, I watched a documentary about the research of our hormone. If we're sitting like this, there is a certain level of serotonin, endorphin, dopamine in your system. At the moment we just touch, just like this. Yes. Like plugging the battery into a wall. The levels, they increase. And we don't even have to make love. Just touching, two skin touching, it helps us. That's why you see all these sea lions in La Jolla. When they're sleeping, they're touching. Yes. So I wanted to bring an experience that with the excuse of painting with, let's say, a blackberry or cacao on each other, we gradually and creatively overcome this anxiety that, I shouldn't be touched by Jen right now. Right. She's not my lover. So she shouldn't be touching me. That's another reason I create these containers to bring us more closer together and honor these bodies for what they need. Absolutely. And it's like this coherence. Like I've been like listening and reading a lot about heart coherence too. And that resonance that you're talking about that happens when you're close with somebody else and you are exchanging all of this wisdom and information in a way that you can't if you don't have that actual physical
connection. I mean, even in the other experiences that we've done, I noticed that we always hold hands at one point, right? And there is this element of touch, but I think that bringing that in to remind us that we have the power every single, like, how many meals do we eat a day when we could be savoring and enjoying,
making love to
the mystery, to the universe, to life, you know?
And I always say, make love to the mystery.
Yeah.
The mystery will make love to you. It does.
I love that so much.
It does. Everything that aligns in my life, it's like a mystery force, but it's also very mystical and orgasmic.
I feel the same way. I feel like I love surprises so much too. And I think people are so obsessed right now with this idea of like manifesting what you want. And I'm like, but okay. So I have this that always comes to me. Like, you go to like this 5-star restaurant, right? And you can ask the waiter for exactly what you want and be very specific. And the chef, if they're a wonderful chef, is going to come out with it and you're going to get exactly what you want. But you could also trust that incredible chef and say, like, make me your specialty, surprise me. And then something comes that you could never have imagined. And it's such a delight. And I think about that all the time for myself when I get fixated on an idea of the way that I think that things can be or should be, or like, how can I make this thing happen? How can I bring it into reality? And it's like robbing myself of that surprise and delight and pleasure of the unknown and of the universe bringing me something that is like so much more delicious than I could have thought of on my own, you know?
Couldn't even imagine.
I couldn't even imagine it.
Anything you imagine is from the mind.
Totally.
From what we've seen. So I used to listen to Alan Watts a lot, and he had an episode on YouTube, and he spoke about this. He's like, he's not agreeing with full-on manifesting either. And he's like, why? How about we say, universe, bring me what you want to bring me, and I'm open.
I love it.
And it's been more magical, even in my life, that I said, I'm available. Even with my career, I'm doing what it makes sense, but take me to what's needed. Like, guide me into what's needed the most for humanity, for animals, for the health of Earth. Just direct me to that. I don't even have a clear vision to what I want and when. And some people are like, break it down and what are the steps?
Totally.
But I'm not also saying don't
work. Don't make effort. Don't pursue your passion. Yeah.
And because I'm doing the effort and I'm opening myself, I'm not stressing. It's just like things come, and we, as you said, we all have to be surprised. That feeling of surprise is the best.
Yeah.
Surprise me.
Yeah. Which is, though, like, you can also have vision. Like, I think that it's beautiful to have a vision of where you would like to grow and go. And I mean, I'm sure that you have lots of like visions about Raha. What's a dream for you about that? About like an experience? Yeah. What would you like?
I mean, I can say it's already a dream come true for me, and it's where it is now. But what I like to do is maybe travel with it and take it to different parts of the world, take it to maybe summer school, summer camp of a teenager. What do you call, like the 18 to 25, that they have a lot of energy and lots of hormones, and that, I think that was one of the hardest part of my life.
That time period.
Yeah, because you're just coming to yourself and you're so confused. So yeah, take it to travel, take it into maybe school, summer camps, just be able to easier make it accessible for all different type of races or ages.
Just so that people also have these different tools. Because I was even imagining, as you were talking about the food and the pleasure and then the nature, like the way that you can design your day then is in small ways. Like you don't need to have a lot of time, but you can incorporate in your daily practice to remember to connect in these ways and open yourself up then to those kinds of downloads. But if you haven't been introduced to it, or feels really like weird or like something that you maybe would be shamed for, then it's a much harder thing to start accessing. But when you do it in community like that, then it's like this permission slip to be able to do it even in your normal life, right?
Yeah, totally. And some of the things I do nowadays is I just got exposed to it even. When we can learn a lot just by seeing something. And even in Raha, I notice if something is really out of comfort zone for someone, but they're just watching, in few sessions, I see them doing it and they tell me, yeah, I watched what you guys did and then I went home into my own privacy and I did it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I did it. Now, just because I did it by myself, now I'm more comfortable to do it in other containers. And of course, I'm also open for the universe where it wants to take Raha or whatever it wants to do. I think what I'm really fully dedicated is to continue doing my self work, or not even so much of a work, self-exploration, just to exploring myself, and anything that I access, I like to share. Yeah, I like to fill in my cup and then I want to pour out, but I want this to be sustainable and continuous process.
That's so your life purpose is to experiment and to play and to see how it works in your body, and then to share it with other people and give them that modeling and permission to be able to play as well.
Yes, we are here to play.
I feel exactly the same way.
Nothing we conquer or put on our name is not going to go with us when we die.
No!
And why I'm saying this, we're here to play, because children, what is a child? A child is a fleshed computer that we just, I mean, we witness it. We don't even know how these babies are built into our body. So the intelligence of our body that grows our hair, our nails, circles our blood and beats our hearts is making that baby, and it delivers itself.
It's literally mind-blowing. If you stop to really think about it, then your brain feels like it's going to explode, because it's like, how is this possible?
Then we trust our body more.
We trust our body more.
And you understand, it is a computer. It is a flesh computer. We made computer, that means we are copying, mimicking ourselves into AI, into a system. So we are the computer. And the child is just a computer that hasn't been told much what to do. So it's actually expressing the truth. You see, they express their emotion easily. They're very free. And what do they do all day? Play.
That's all they do.
And if you ask them why you're playing, they will look at you like, is there any other reason that I'm here?
That's what I was made for.
I'm here to play.
That's,
Exactly. We're here to play. And we're here to have pleasure. There is even pleasure in pain. Only if we don't resist. There's the resistance and thinking that this shouldn't be there is what's causing the suffering.
Can you give me a concrete example in your life of something that was really painful that like pleasure has been born from that, in that way?
From the pain, pleasure. I mean, even just like what the story I told you, I transferred my back pain into healing of all my trauma and emotional and suppression and shame and all that. What else? I've been the pain. Overall, I would say just pain has been different in my life. I used to have a lot of migraines, and as soon as I would get the headache, I would take a pill. But because I'm moving so much more, I don't get them. And I'm drinking more water. I'm doing less screen time. My migraine is gone. But if I have any pain, I look at it as a signal. as a form of a communication. Yeah, I mean, there's...
I wanted to ask you too about your sister, who I know is so special to you, as like an inspiration, and how like your relationship with her has helped you to evolve and carry Raha as well. If you are open to sharing that, because I think that is actually a beautiful illustration of something that is like a challenge that then has become like this gift too.
Yeah, after learning about these elements, like, oh, my voice is directly connected to my nervous system, my movement is important, community is important. I ended up losing my sister 3 years ago, and there you go. I had a major grief and rage, but I had to do the elements that I was given, like, okay, process your grief, scream your grief, cry your grief, expressing it, and then transmuting it into art.
Yeah.
Like I would cry and sing. All of a sudden I'm singing and crying. I'm creative with my grief. Because we had a really close relationship, so it was really difficult for me to lose her. But the way she left this world also, I feel, definitely was for what I'm creating right now, and for a lot of human who comes in contact with Raha, is following her path. She started gradually losing the sense of walking, and gradually losing the sense of being able to pee, being able to eat food. And she would slowly to tell me, just be grateful with your steps you're taking.
And she would tell you that she
would
had
yes,
that wisdom. Wow.
She was the influence of a lot of my spirituality right now. She was a very powerful being. She, a lot of my spiritual insights growing up was through him. We had some amazing childhood games. We would just work on telepathy and talking through just minds, and it was magical. But with her process of leaving, because it was very slow and she lost senses one by one, and every time she lost a sense, she would really bring heightened in awareness and importance to me, because I was with her, thankfully, throughout the whole process I was with her. And she would really tell me, just all those steps you're taking is a pleasure. Be with it. Be with your steps. And then she couldn't pee, she couldn't poo. She would tell me every time, she was like, your pee is a little mini orgasm, pay attention, one day you're not going to feel it. And then she had some problems in her mouth. She couldn't eat food for the last 4 months.
Wow.
And it was just liquid going to her. And every time I would eat, she would tell me, just make love to that food. Pay attention to that food.
Wow.
These are the importance of life. And it brought me into such deeper awareness of these things as I'm doing. If I'm walking, I literally count as much as I count every step, and try to be with that pleasure that I can walk, I can move, I can eat, I can have a voice. She even lost her voice at the end, and she also, the breathing with her lungs, she would tell me, enjoy your breathing. And the breathing was the last, which if we go, breathing is the first thing that kills us. I feel her life was just a story for me to be who I am, and also
thank you for sharing that. It's so beautiful. And you couldn't even imagine a better teacher for all of those beautiful lessons and codes.
And visibly seeing it and sensing it, and just, I feel so grateful, because my life is in such a depth right now. Losing her was going to hell. And I don't think if I had these modalities to shake and scream and cry, and after she passed for a while, I couldn't come out or communicate, but then I knew that I have to. And I started Raha every week. gathering because I knew I needed it.
Wow.
So every week we would get together and sound and move and shake and express grief and scream and process, but in a creative way.
Yeah.
So have the rhythm, have the drums, and make sure that not only we're grieving, but we're also creative, because another pleasure of life is being creative. Being creative in how you eat, how you put clothes on, how you walk, how you express yourself. Creativity is life. Life is art. We are art.
We are art.
And I always say we are the miracle while we're here. So it's important to be present, and all these modalities helps me to be present with the miracle that I am, as long as I'm here.
I think that is just your gift too, is to bring that attention and importance and help other people connect with how true it is. Like, every sense is such a gift and such a pleasure, and how we have that opportunity to be in like this abundance and richness of that every single day, regardless of any of our life, like anything that's going on around us. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with your finances, or like if you have, you know, this job or this love or whatever. It's this, like you were saying, like this love affair with yourself and with all of life and with God.
God. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm way deeper in God, and the whole existence is my first lover. Yes.
I pulled a card, I think it was in January, that was Mirabai, who was like this Indian goddess princess, and she says like, I'm married to my own soul. And like, that is true freedom. And I think it's that sense of like, being in love with the gift of being alive, being in love with the gift of getting to be you and getting to have these experiences. And it's such a beautiful reminder. We were talking a little bit before we started on our way up about just like love and relationship. And when you said that too, about like being your own lover and having that, I think like when you have that so deep inside of you of knowing like, I can love myself so deeply. And then of course you're open to whoever comes into your life, but not forgetting that you are your person. You are your soulmate.
Yes.
You're the one that you're born with. You're the one that you die with. And
that's the first relationship, is with the self and God and whole existence. And then other people relationship can enhance that. The main relationship is the self and the body. Even my sister, she's not here, she just doesn't have the body anymore. So everything that was related to the body was the highlight of the life. And that's how we know, okay, what is a dead person? Doesn't move, doesn't make a sound, doesn't eat, but no success, no money, no nothing. Degrees they got matters.
None of it matters in the end.
It's like, how deep were you in life with yourself, and how, did you express? Did you enjoy your body? Did you enjoy your senses? Were you present with the miracle of your own existence?
Yeah, I see like all of the lessons that you're bringing forward as being so empowering for people, because you're really teaching like, you have everything within you to be able to not just heal, but to flourish and to really like enjoy this lifetime. And it's not dependent on any outside circumstances. It's literally like all contained in our 7 senses, like you said. And then just having the tools to be able to access that and remember it in those moments too, when we are in like grief or confusion or anger.
Play with them. Play with your senses.
Spend
time playing and exploring what they have to offer.
Oh my gosh. I just love you.
I love you too. And I'm happy that you see me and you invited me to come and share. Yeah.
I would love, before we close, I know we have your drums, to maybe just do a little bit of like rhythmic play. This is definitely not something that is a strong suit for me, but I would love to follow along with you and just kind of honoring the magic of how it can be like this simplicity of sound and vibration and movement.
And it's all playing. Some people, they grab my instruments, they're like, I don't know how to play. Children, when you hand them the toy, they don't say, I don't know how to play with this toy. They just figure it out. And then as adults, we're like, oh, I don't know how to play with this toy. They're all toys, really, right?
Okay, just bringing it back to sex, that just I just like connected to this vision with me too. But also too, like how we forget that like it is just play, and we think that there's right or wrong ways, and with yourself or with a lover or whatever,
or performance,
or even worse,
which that's the poison the pornography is giving to us,
right?
Do we sound like that? Okay, I'm gonna make sure, is my body positioned correct? Do I look hot?
Right.
Which is all not, it takes us away from the
but if we were to think of our lover and their body as the way that a child like receives like this beautiful unknown gift or toy, that you're like, how does this work? Figure it out. You know? That's like, what a cool perspective.
It is. And that's when it brings playfulness and meditation rather than destination. I think what the sex has gone direction is, we're all always from the beginning seeking the destination. And I also see that from porn, because a lot of it is like the action and the ending. So from the beginning, when we start playing, we're seeking the destination rather than just exploring and playing and feeling and being open to something new come in. As Osho said, if we're always seeking a destination, how are we gonna explore what it is?
No, or how are you gonna even like be present and enjoy? It's like if you're watching a sunset, you're not just like waiting it out until the sun is gone. You're savoring like every color, every change, the shift, the feel of the breeze on you, and noticing, right? And being like so present. And then it's so beautiful and captivating, like when it slips down below the horizon, but then there's also this sadness because it's over. And I think that like, if you look at sex that way, if you look at like you're eating your meal that way or whatever it is, instead of just getting to the end part, like how can I like savor every moment that is so delicious? And then when it does come to that end, you can like feel satisfied. You know, like how deep.
And I feel all these practices have definitely brought intimacy with my senses. Even when I smell, I feel like I'm making love. When I walk, I make love. When I touch, I'm making love. When I eat, I'm making love. When I'm singing, I'm making love. Everything is a make love. We just become one big orgasm of life. It never ends.
Last thing, and then I do think we should do the drums, but this also makes me think about how you always like are talking about going left instead of right. And even in the tantric path too, there's like the left hand path versus the right hand path.
I just don't know if I always question, why do we have to choose one? Right? Why do we have to say, as a child, they're like, oh, are you right-handed or left-handed? I always, as a child, questioned, why do I have to choose one? And I naturally was going towards left, and they told me, no, you gotta go right, because everybody's right. And this is how you see how we just do things because everybody else is doing it. But don't we have two hands?
We do.
I always say I'm both-handed. No, I'm not one-handed. I played my drum in right side, and I start actually developing some pains and signals. And when I start handing it to my left and playing, the pain goes away. And actually my right hand gets a lot better, but we have two brain hemispheres, right and left, and right is our masculine and left is our feminine. We have those both aspects inside of us, the masculine and feminine. And how to bring that out to the world is through the body. I see this, this has been mentioned in different places too, but this is kind of like a video game. And through that controller that you push the buttons, the guy in the video game runs and jumps and do things. Same. So how we approach our body or do things with our body, it brings that energy out. So if you're always using your right hand, it's a lot of masculines coming through, which that's what we see in the world right now. Because the majority of us are using right hand. So switching to the left hand, it will help you to balance both sides, but also bring more feminine energy. And at some point, they're both hands. There's going to be a dance between the right and left, always. If you're washing something, you're cutting something, a little bit this hand, a little bit this hand. If you're brushing your teeth, opening the cabinet, pleasuring yourself, for sure. That's even the most important one, because your neuroconnectivity, like, it's a relationship cycle to your own body. And if you're always using your right hand, it's a lot of a masculine will come. It has to be switched to the left, and then it has to be both hands.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, I've never actually heard that or thought about that, and that is brilliant.
You'll be surprised if you always have been pleasing yourself with your right hand, and then you go please with left hand. It may take days, just because you're like, when I was playing my drum with my left, like on this side with my right hand dominant. After 15 years, and I was kind of good at it, but when I handed it to my left hand, it just looked like I don't know nothing. Then I realized there is a part of me that is not connected to the right, and literally I have not been connecting to her, my left side, because it couldn't play what I'm playing on this side. I had to train. So it is about 4 years I'm training both. So I play 5 minutes this side, 5 minutes this side, and everything I'm working with both hands. It's very important. Actually, in Osho's book of Secret, he says this is the most important spiritual practice for anyone. We all seek information and we think we have to go somewhere and access it. But he says it in his book, switching your dominant, it's your most potent practice to evolve.
That's so wild. And it's probably it's the simplest, but it's so triggering and challenging, because we're so connected to being good at things. And so if you have competence, like you were even saying about playing the drum, and then all of a sudden it's like you don't even know how, that's frightening.
Even writing, just hand your pen to your left.
I had this experience. So when I was in 5th grade, I broke my right arm, and I had to that entire time write with my left hand and do tests and stuff in class, and it was very humbling.
Yes. I think everyone who's watching this, that would be a really good idea. To go, if you're writing with your right hand, go just write one sentence with your left hand and see how different it is from your right hand. And that itself tells us that there's two aspects in us. And one is the right that you've been good, but when you hand it to the left, she can't just do what the right does. She needs its own time. She needs its own process to reach to that beauty, delicacy, or whatever you're trying to do with that hand.
I feel like some definite takeaway practices would be, number one, write with your left hand,
or your other dominant. Dominant.
Pleasure yourself with your non-dominant hand. Just introduce that into part of your daily life and see what it brings up. See how it helps you slow down, maybe. Then using voice,
even if it's simple vowels, just like wake up and say the sound of ah until you're out of breath, and breathe and do it again. Say oh, but just holding and using your voice. In the morning, especially, because it will activate our vibrational self, energetic self. Then we can actually do things with an energetic awareness. Do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? Is this person are actually authentic? Are they speaking truth or not? Because we're more sensitive.
So using your voice, Making love to your food.
Oh, for sure. To your sense of smell.
To your sense of smell. To having your feet in nature and in the dirt.
Yes.
And shaking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shaking, especially if you feel like you're depressed or if you feel like you're on the edge of just... Because for me, when I was going through it, I could feel waves and signals that I would describe to my doctors and my mom. I feel like some monster is going to jump out of me.
Wow.
Or some monster from outside is going to attack me, and they would laugh at me. But that monster was myself. I needed to just express it.
Yeah.
And those waves of discomfort is just telling me to express and shake and let go. Yes.
Yeah, it's wild how all of these things too, even though they sound kind of like scary in a way, once you do them, they feel so incredible. Like your body just loves it.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing all of your wisdom.
Of course. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here in this environment, my most favorite.
I know, it's so pretty. I love it so much.
That also, if you feel anxious or sad or anxiety, go to nature.
Yeah.
Even just being in nature, sitting next to a tree or looking at the nature is healing. Because those are caused because we're separated from nature. Yeah. Our cities are very dense and not as much as nature in them.
Yeah.
So it's important to make a trip. Go to nature, be with nature. Yeah. Not talking, but being... Because when we don't talk with nature, we actually open up to the language of nature. And it has its own way of connecting. Yeah.
Well, do you want to do a little bit of drumming?
Yes. Awesome.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's play. Oh, it's right here. My rings. So yeah, maybe you can have a bass.
And
Hold this out.
okay.
And then I'll give you a rhythm.
Okay. Feels so good, even just like feeling the vibrations through my body too. Like I need to get a drum.
Yes. Drum is a medicine. Because if you've seen all the ancient cultures, they have a drum and hit it and sing. Yeah. Because if you have to, we did a rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. To maintain this metronome, you can't think. So you become present. And that's the medicine aspect of music. Yeah. Especially rhythm.
Well, and our entire system is run on rhythms. If you think about our heartbeat, our breath.
That's the first thing we hear as a child in the womb. Yeah. The rhythm and the metronome, the beat. So everybody is a drummer. Yeah.
Everybody is a natural drummer.
Whether you play with it or not. But also drumming is a medicine.
Drumming is a medicine.
It's a natural medicine. Yeah, a little medicine drum. And you can also just start humming. Let's play with our voices.
Okay.
Do the rhythm and maybe sing.
Okay. But I love it.
I feel like I make love to my voice.
Yeah,
definitely.
So
my voice is what inspires me the most. So like, where is it coming from? What part of me? How is this? How do I have a voice?
Yeah, where is it coming from?
Exactly.
That's such a good point. Oh my God.
Oh, this was amazing.
You're magic. You're magic.
Thank you. I love you. Love you too. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.